What he said was, to you, these people no longer exist. They are no longer, to put it exact, a part of your world. She can't say shit. She can't do shit through third party. I don't know how that's going to work for the dream team over there, but I do know he absolutely said you will no longer harass, stalk, and talk about these people on any form of social media. And that includes, well, everyone is saying about Sebastian. So here's the thing, right? That includes any minor children of the parties.
Again, obviously, I'm upset about the ruling, but I'm also confident that it emboldened something a little bit bigger that will be good, the silver lining of all this. And you know, we live in the world of silver lining. So we're going to take this as, you know, we're very religious here. We believe in God. And we believe that we have to have faith in the process, and we have to have faith in the path that we are meant to walk. They get to see me a little bit longer because they're idiots. They can't fix stupid. Oh, I can't say that. That's so unprofessional of an investigative journalist, according to this judge that has no idea anything about the freedom of press, which is pretty sad. My suggestion would be maybe Civil Litigation 101, just possibly, because I'm just an AA and paralegal, not even a BS. And some of the stuff that he asked the attorneys to me showed not being very knowledgeable in certain areas of the law. But you guys know what my first theory was. I had two theories related to this man, and both of those theories are back in play. Both of those theories, sneaking in as well as being there. So now we have a total of 3 theories. One with Mommy Dearest, and 2 with, we're gonna call him cocksucker. Would you do that? Cocksucker. Is that too offensive? Is that too offensive? Might be too offensive. Maybe we should leave that for the sheriff. Maybe that shitty detective. Just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. Now you guys know why I'm so controversial. But maybe we'll call him Ted Bundy. Should we call him Bundy? The Bundy guy? Maybe that's maybe we'll call him Bundy. I don't know. I'm interested in seeing that information revealed as well. We have a high batting average on this channel with our assessments of these cases, whether a judge in Sumner County wants to acknowledge the work that we do or not, or just wants to take 7 months of work. And because I'm passionate and I don't mind telling somebody to get bent, and they were able to take all of the hostility because of the cyberbullying I had dealt with, and the physical stalking that I had to deal with, and the threats of harm to me when I went out there in June, and they were able to capture some of those frustrating moments, and they seamed them all together and out of context for the most impact, even though if the judge actually saw the entire thing, he would realize that everything that was said was not true.
Because this is what they want. This is exactly what they want. You are absolutely right about that. They want to take it off of him because these parents don't want him found. Mommy Dearest doesn't want him found. Did you see that big old smile in court? Go look at it. Grandma, back in the back, cackling. These people are insane. And you know what? Their politicians are bought and paid for, so they can do whatever the hell they want.
Now, what was supposed to provide a distraction ended up backfiring on both the mom and the stepfather, revealing some serious allegations that we did not know or learn about until the release of this BS email. This one-sided email that had no context related to its origin or why they're even having this conversation. We've learned that the mother and the stepfather have been trying to get rid of Sebastian Waindrake Rogers since 2022, shortly after they purchased their... Could it be because they could not allow Seth to learn of this CPS report, much like the 4 CPS reports previously? For this mom and stepdad or dad not having any excuses for where their son is, and they can't explain how this child did what he did. All they can do is accuse people of harassing them for questioning. The topic of conversation was just Sebastian Waindrake Rogers. He's a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from his home in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and has not been seen or heard from since. There's been a lot of information that has been had by the mom and the stepfather, and they are inconsistent at best. There are a lot of lies that were found out. There's a lot of covering up that they're trying to do by manipulating law enforcement into thinking that they're being stalked and harassed when they're the ones stalking and harassing people. It seems like no matter who is brought in to actually help find Sebastian, they are intimidated and ran off by people affiliated and associated with the mom and the stepfather and their side of the family. This child, in my opinion, didn't walk out of his home. Why? Because there's no evidence he did, including his shoes are still at the home. Everything of his possessions that he loved are still at his home. This child is not a normal child. He's autistic. And if anybody, which a lot of people in my chat knows their children, knows their grandchildren, and knows family that have autistic children, that behavior does not bode with autism. And many of us scratch our head, even though we're not allowed to have an opinion without getting arrested in communist Sumner County. We all can see it ourselves. Now, if they want to stick their head in the sand, that's not my problem. I'm not sticking my head in the sand, and I want people to know that I know that they know I know, right? And that's my right, and I'm entitled to that. I'm an American citizen. I don't live in the UK. I don't live in Australia. I don't have, I don't live in a third world country. I don't live in China where somebody can tell me what I have to do. I follow the law, and I'm allowed to live my life in the confines of those laws, which I do. I didn't always once do that, but I do this day, in this life, in this chapter of my life. So I know for a fact that what they're doing is wrong. But we are going to continue to have our opinion, commentary, and criticism on this very case, and toward the very people that were responsible for this child and this child's well-being, that seem to be living their best life ever. Just saying. Their own factual information, but based upon everything I've researched, that's my finding. That most everything that bad that has happened to this young boy has happened on his mother's watch, not his father's. The message today is it's the holiday season, and I guess you're finally going to get to see who the real pieces of garbage are out here, because anybody that can hurt another individual during the holiday season, an innocent individual, we're not talking about, the mom and stepdad here that disappeared their child, that has the whole world looking at them and wondering where they put him. We're talking about an innocent father that had nothing to do with his child, except, being railroaded by the mom and the clan to throw shade on him, to take shade off them. A lot of us, because now we know that the mom and stepdad have been working tirelessly to, move him elsewhere because there was things going on in the house. But nobody has really asked, why was he being forced from the home? He asked, why was he being forced from the home? I shouldn't say that. There was asked a few times, and nobody wanted to talk about it. Everybody, oh, thank you, Jenna. Everybody believed it was, we were hearing he's hitting puberty. We were hearing on another thing that, I don't go into his room because he's a 15-year-old boy. All these implications that it has to do with some type of, proclivity as developing boys may get, right? Let's be honest, okay? I don't want to say anything. I don't want to offend anybody, but they implied, can we at least agree, a sexual component? The hickey clip. Yes! That's right. It was the hickey clip. Thank you. It was you. And it was right on the tail end. I'm like, did I hear that right? Even though it had nothing to do with what the reason for the clip was, I did a double take, and I'm like, wait a minute. They have been implying that they were concerned for Faith's well-being as to why this stuff, at least these channels were implying on behalf of the mom and stepfather, that there was something we couldn't know about, because if we knew about, we wouldn't want to help find him no more and show the interest. Wouldn't that imply to you, if he didn't show the interest, that component would most likely not be there? So now we know, right then and there, that he has none of these interests, none of these proclivities. We've been told for months by the channels closest to this family that there's this underlying issue, and if we knew what was going on, we would understand why he can't be around her. Yet again, constantly implying this undertone that, and even stating that he was abused prior to, maybe he's showing these things, maybe it has something to do with, his prior abuse, all these things, and now we're finding out from his stepfather, he didn't show those interests. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, didn't you guys feel like there was this subtle underlying, I don't know, S-tone when it came to him and why he needed to leave the house? That to me, I've thought that was always implied, even though I never knew the reason. It always seemed like that's the reason they were implying, because they didn't want him around Faith. She wouldn't go into his room for, to check on him when she heard a thud. I mean, there was this undertone. I'm sorry, there just was. So much so that people even had come at the very beginning of the case and said, well, maybe he made, and as hard as this is to sound, this is a trigger warning, and I'm sorry, but this is what happened. And people know that it's true because they saw it in chats, if you guys are following the case back then. But they were implying that there was a possibility of him making a move on his mom. Now, of course, we've never ran with that story, but it doesn't change the fact that some of those theories were sent to me.
He loves his son unconditionally, whereas I believe in the other home he was damaged goods because he wasn't, quote, normal.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry. He was a very special young man. He was so well behaved. And here's where I'm going to get a little dicey. In my opinion, and I have thought this from the very, very beginning, for CP to be so triggered over the child protective reports, I fear, and I'm sick to my stomach because I truly believe CP might have been SAing Sebastian, and that's why he had to make sure he was no longer around. And that's just my opinion.
Yeah, some people have brought that up early on, especially when we found out he was using the bathroom. And, you know, a lot of people have that telltale sign. We know that that's a signal of abuse, especially not to
absolutely
children.
And the bedwetting and the nervousness. Mm-hmm. And when I saw him in that video, it just broke me because, number one, I saw Sebastian, but I also saw a very, very nervous, scared child that was on edge. And that really was upsetting. She doesn't interact with her child in that video. I'm not saying she doesn't at home, but I don't think she did. Mm-hmm. And when they said that Sebastian would spend all of his time in his room, I believe that because I don't think he wanted to be around either one of them. I think he was petrified. Mm-hmm. Even though he did love his mother, I 100% believe he was petrified. And I think they controlled him like they put their hands inside that child's body to make him do what they wanted him to do, like a puppet. You're going to do it this way or else. But I 100% think we're going to find some SA stuff in those reports. And I do believe he was abused on every other level, verbally, physically, mentally, emotionally. Yeah. And, you know, what's very telling to me is in the beginning when both of his parents in that home were doing the interviews and the way they spoke about him and the glee they had in their voice and the things that were coming out of their mouths being all negative. I think that was so common. They didn't even realize what they were doing was wrong until people started saying, what the hell is going on? Yeah. They didn't even understand what they were doing was wrong. They just thought, let's tear him down. That was how I think how they lived in that home with him.
Yeah. Well, it just shows you how they truly, I mean, if that's the best that they have for their son, it just shows you how they truly felt about their son because they put the positive spin on it, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is the child that I saw looks like a child that would have been a great child if he had been allowed to just blossom into himself.
Yeah, it absolutely. And not only that, but his father enjoyed teaching him things. He enjoyed teaching him how to cook. He was trying to get him where he was sufficient and able to take care of himself. Those were things his mom wasn't doing with him.